okay, I thought I'd just do a little video of my exhibition because it's just about to come to an end. Here is a painting called Come to the Edge, which is now in the window. Jenny has actually changed the paintings in the window every couple of weeks, which is fantastic. This beautiful wisteria has just come out, and amazing to have a lovely painting to reflect the same colours. So that's fantastic. I'm just going to go in off this noisy road, and here we are. Here's the first room of the gallery. This painting is called After the Rain. Come a little bit closer. You can see a few of the details of it. And these marks here, these coral coloured marks, were inspired by the tracks that are made by the tractors in the fields near to the countryside where I live. And darker colours that remind me of the way when you're sort of out in the countryside after there's been a downpour and everything gets darker, all the colours get darker and richer. And then this one, which is a surprise painting actually for me. It's been, you know, I finished it a while ago and I thought I wasn't quite sure whether it was finished, but actually having had it around me for a bit, and then when Jenny came to visit me in my studio, I looked at it and said, yes, that's definitely finished. And that's Call of the Deep. Again, this one's more sea-based than landscape-based, but these darkest of blues, I mean, it's very shiny because this is oil paint, but I love how the sheen of the oil paint creates a darker depth of colour. And then there are these smaller pastel and acrylic on this lovely eco paper, so you've got these lovely fleckled, is that the right word? Fleckled? Can't remember now, edges of the paper. And these nice float mounts, and then a little speck of orange there. And then we'll just go over to this corner here. This is Seascapes of the Soul, that crashing energy, and then Translucent Waves, which is a much lighter pastel drawing, where I was trying to kind of capture that lovely translucence when a wave is rolling over and you can see through it, almost like glass, like sea glass. And I did a series of these little grey pastel drawings a while back when Storm Eunice hit the UK, and mounted them on small blocks of wood, and they are so lovely that you can either pick them up and have them standing up, or you can put them onto a nail on the wall. But I love the way the sort of three-dimensionality of them gives them more of an impact. So there are 12 of those. There's another one. And they're all called Storm Eunice. And then if we come over here, this one is Beautiful Resilience, and below it, Lose Yourself. And I painted these together actually, I painted them at the same time, so they seem quite, almost like non-identical twins in a way. And these were painted at a time when I was thinking very much about the similarity between the sea and the land, and the fact that I live in a landlocked area of the UK, but my heart really belongs to the sea. But these two paintings really were part of a series of paintings where I was combining the colours and marks and movement of the sea, whilst also capturing elements of landscape. And this top one actually was sort of very loosely based on a view that I have from a place called Whittenham Clumps in Oxfordshire, which perhaps people who live in Oxfordshire would probably be very familiar with. But there's a particular viewpoint that I relate to that sort of come out subconsciously, really. I don't really, I don't start off with that intention. This painting has sort of happened by accident. There's a little bit of flashing from the lights here going on, but this one is called Big Sky, and started off quite literally actually as a landscape with this divide of the proportions between the land at the bottom and the sky at the top, and this horizon line, and was much more of a literal painting, and I wasn't happy with it, and painted out the sky so that it has this. There are often days when I'm it's in the middle of the day, there's a bright blue sky, very clear, and not much is happening. It's a very still time of the day sometimes. And the bottom here was a very sort of olivey green, which just looked too, don't know, sludgy and dull. So I mixed up this kind of bright, limey, yellowy green and made this much more of an abstract interpretation of a landscape. But I love how it alludes to certain elements of landscape, and this beautiful little bit of coral, just a streak there, one stroke of painting. And then we'll just move to the back of the gallery. These two pastel drawings are called Surrender to the Undertow and Am I Brave Enough? And these were created in response to time away at the beach. I quite often do my drawings on the beach in situ. I'll take a sketchbook and it's like note-taking really, and creating memory, muscle memory, and recording colours and light and movement and shapes. And then when I come back home and come and work in the studio, those are all around me, and I'll open up my sketchbook and see, and it brings sort of memories come flooding back, and I can almost feel myself still there. It's still in my mind very, very vividly. And I'll work, or have a starting point from something that's in the sketchbooks, and then the whole painting starts to take on a sort of story of its own. I really love these three black marks at the top there. Very intuitive, immediate, and this is surrendering to the undertow. I mean, it's sort of, you're standing there right at the edge of the shore with these wild waves coming towards you. There's a choice of running away or surrendering. And a lot of my paintings are a sort of metaphor for feelings and states of being. This one is called Total Immersion, and this is an oil painting. And there's this wildness of the movements of the waves crashing, as if you're actually underneath this crashing wave, as if you're about to be taken under. And that one's been sold. And then here, how deep can we go? Again, there's something about using this very dark, dark blue that alludes to this idea of you know, how deep do we want to go in our thoughts and our existence? Like diving to the depths of the sea, the darkest places that we know very little about. Are we brave enough to do that? And then these two little paintings, they're 30 by 30 and they're oil and acrylic. So the acrylic underpainting is this bright sort of magenta underneath, which I wanted to come through because they were based on a time when there were these beautiful magenta skies, which felt so warming and comforting and like sort of being reassured by nature. So there's landscape in these, but in a very abstract sort of interpretation. But I've done these, sometimes there are tiny details. If you get close enough, you can see smaller details and scratched out areas of the paint. I really love this big one stroke of a really big brush and then how the paint comes around the edges like that. I love it when paint does things that you haven't necessarily planned. And that's part of the dance really of being a painter, is that you have some intentions, but then the paint does things that you respond to, and it can sometimes have a mind of its own. This one is called I Will Be Heard, and when I painted this, there was something about this huge stroke all the way across that kind of made me feel or think of voices being projected across loudly, and I think sometimes that's related to a frustration that I often feel about not being heard, not having a platform for the things I'm passionate about. And then Surge Across the Land. Again, I painted this one when I painted the two landscapes called Lose Yourself and Beautiful Resilience. And I wanted to bring in aspects of sea and land, and really it was about my coming to terms with the fact that I don't actually live by the sea, and you know, that's not going to happen anytime soon, and I'm not frustrated about that in a sense. I love where I live. I have an incredible views, and there are reasons why I need to live where I live. But I do love visiting and being by the sea, and so in a sense these were combining those two things: my love for the sea, my love for the landscape, and seeing the land and the seascape as one thing. So that's a sort of overview of what's up at the moment, and there've been one or two other paintings that have been on the walls. This one's been sold. Little Party on the Beach. This one was up above the fireplace to start with, and Jenny has rotated some of the works, which I think is really fantastic because it keeps things fresh and interesting, and the paintings in the window have been changed. So that's my little overview for today, for those who wanted to have a look but weren't able to make it to Oxford. And so I hope you've enjoyed that, and we're closing on Saturday. There'll be a little party, some drinks, so if you are in the Oxford area, please do come along and you know, have a chat and see what's up on the walls. Hope you've enjoyed it. Bye for now.